This is the results video for UFC Vancouver, and this will be an interesting one. Because, as you may know, we had a lot of underdogs winning on this card, and some of them were very big underdogs in picks. And for this video, I would like to start to quick over all the picks per fight again, and see how the channels did overall with their picks per fight. And after that, we go into the results as usual. Melissa Croden won the first fight, and she was picked by almost 50% for all the prediction channels. And around 40% of the channels had her winning via decision. For the second fight, we only had 4 channels out of 127 picking usury, so 3%. And the method of victory was only picked correctly by one channel, the UFC McFlyer, who had him winning by KO TKO. 92% of the channels picked Stephanie Luciano to win correctly, but only one channel had her method of victory correct, which was Drywall, who had her winning via submission, which had really good odds of plus 1400 on average. Most channels had Drew Dober winning, but for method of victory everybody was wrong because nobody had a KO nutshot. But around 70% had him winning via KO TKO. And then we have another big underdog in picks in Jordan Santos, which was only picked by 11% for all the channels. And only 2 channels had the method correct of a decision win. Bruno Silva was another underdog that won, and he was picked by 22% of the channels. And only 4 channels had him winning via submission. Charles Jourdain was picked by 58% for all the channels, but by the best predictors he was picked 80%. And the method of victory, again, only a few channels had that correct. Only 3 of them had him winning via submission. Around 35% of the channels picked Kyle Nelson to win, and only 10% had this method of victory correct, which was via decision. The next underdog is Arichu Lang. He was picked by 20% for all the channels, and by the best predictors 29%, and the best underdog predictors 36%. But there was only one channel that predicted he would win via KO TKO, which was Cash from Fight Bloodline. 74% for all the channels picked Manon Fiorot to win, but only 3 channels picked her winning via KO TKO. Sahabi was picked by 65% for all the channels, and everyone had him winning via decision. Mike Mallet was picked by 61% of the channels, but the best predictors picked him 80% of the time. And the method of victory, a decision win, was picked by 28% for all the channels, but the best method of victory predictors had it 45%. And in the last fight we had another big underdog in picks winning again. Brandon Allen was only picked by 7% of the channels, but the best predictors picked him 21% of the time. And not a single channel had this method of victory correct. For all the results in this video, we only look at channels that made picks on at least half of all the fights, so a minimum of 7. Which channels picked the winner the least correct? In 4th place we have the Parlay MMA with 3 out of 10 correct. In 3rd place we have the following 7 channels in alphabetical order with 3 out of 13 picks correct for 23%. In 2nd place is All the Smoke MMA with 2 out of 11 correct for 18%. And in 1st place this week, the channels with the least correct picks, we have Be Ready from Fight Bloodline and Harbar MMA. Both of them had only 2 out of 13 picks correct for 15%. Which channels had the most picks correct? And for this event the results were a bit worse than normal. The following 12 channels are ranked number 4 to number 6, with a correct pick percentage of 60% up to 62.5. In 3rd place is Brandon from the Santino DeFranco podcast with 7 out of 11 correct for 64%. And in 2nd place is Santino DeFranco himself with 6 out of 9 picks correct for 67%. And in 1st place, the channels with the most correct picks this week in alphabetical order, we have Kunat, Pure Picks, the UFC McFlyer and Jacob from We Want Picks. All 4 of them had 9 out of 13 picks correct for 69%. And here is the complete overview of all 134 channels that I've tracked this week, also including channels that made less than 7 predictions, with their correct picks, total picks and correct pick percentage. What if you had followed every pick a channel had made and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them? That's what we're gonna find out now, and we start with the least profitable channels if you had blindly followed every pick they had made. From number 4 to number 10 we have the following 8 channels with a return on investment of minus 60% down to minus 69%. In 3rd place is All the Smoke MMA with an ROI of minus 72%. With a return on investment of minus 78%. In 2nd place we have Be Ready from Fight Bloodline. And the channel with the worst results this week, if you had blindly followed every pick they had made, was Harbar MMA with a return on investment of minus 80%. Which channels could have made you the most money if you had blindly followed every pick they had made and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them? From number 10 up to number 4, we have the following 7 channels with a return on investment of 16.5% up to 33.5%. In third place is Pure Picks with a return on investment of 33.8%. And with a return on investment of 0.1% higher for 33.9%, we have the UFC McFlyer at number 2. And the most profitable channel this week with their winner picks was Jacob from We Want Picks. Had you blindly followed every pick he had made and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them, you could have won $475 for a return on investment of 36.5%. And here is the complete overview of all 134 channels that I've tracked, also including channels that made picks on less than half of all the fights, with their total money won or lost, their return on investment, their correct picks, total picks, correct pick percentage and total investment. The next part for the method of victory results are pretty interesting this week, and we start with the least correct. 4 channels had 1 out of 10 method of victory predictions correct for 10%. In third place with 1 out of 12 correct for 8.3% we have MMA Lock of the Night. In second place we have the following 11 channels in alphabetical order, and all of them had only 1 winner plus method of victory prediction correct for 7.7%. And in first place we have 2 channels that had 0 method of victory predictions correct, which are Bedtime MMA and DFS by the numbers. But Bedtime MMA made 13 method of victory predictions and DFS by the numbers 12. Which channels had the most method of victory predictions correct? From number 4 to number 9 we have the following 15 channels with a correct pick percentage of 18% up to 30%. In third place we have Fight at Fun, With Fun and Young Pasty. Both of them had 4 out of 13 winner plus method of victory predictions correct for 31%. In second place with 33% correct we have Sportsbook Killer with 3 out of 9 of his method of victory predictions correct. And the channel with the most winner plus method of victory predictions correct this week was the UFC McFlyer. He had 5 out of 13 correct for 38.5%. 89 channels made method of victory predictions, and this is the complete overview, also including channels that made predictions on less than half of all the fights, with their correct predictions, total predictions and correct prediction percentage. Which channels could have lost you the most money if you had blindly followed all of their method of victory predictions? And to calculate these results we used the average odds from oddsjam.com, which were taken around 9 hours before the fight started. From 6 to number 4 we have the following 5 channels with a return on investment of -73% up to -81%. In third place we have the following 7 channels in alphabetical order. And all of them had the same method of victory prediction correct for a return on investment of -84%. With a return on investment of -85% we have Coty MMA, Carlos from MCA Picks, MMA Husky Hustler and The True Analyst. And in first place for least profitable channels with their method of victory predictions are of course the 2 channels that had 0 method of victory predictions correct, which are Bedtime MMA and DFS by the numbers. Which channels could have won you the most money had you blindly followed every method of victory prediction they made? From number 10 up to number 4 we have the following 7 channels with a return on investment of 7.4% up to 42.8%. In third place is the UFC McFlyer with a return on investment of 47.8%. In second place we have Drywall. He only had 2 out of 13 method of victory predictions correct, but because one of those predictions was Stephanie Luciano winning via submission with odds of plus 1400, he ended up in second place with a return on investment of 53.8%. And in first place for most profitable channel we have Alonso Hernandez. And this is a bit of a strange one, because the predictions from his video were different than the picks he sent in by email. So if you had followed all of his method of victory predictions you wouldn't have the same results as you see now on the screen. As you can see from my reply, I asked him to make sure that his picks are the same as in the video, so that the viewers of this channel can verify his picks. So yeah, a bit of a strange one. And here is the complete overview of all 89 channels with their method of victory prediction result, which also include channels that made picks on less than half of all the fights. with their total money won or lost, return on investment, correct and total predictions, correct prediction percentage and total investment. Which channels are on the longest losing streak and keep losing money week after week? On a 4-week losing streak we have the following 13 channels in alphabetical order. And out of those 13 we have the following 7 channels that are on a 5-week losing streak. On a 6-week losing streak we have the following 5 channels. And out of those 5 channels, Bedtime MMA, MMA Play 365, Pick'em MMA and Slim MMA have a 7-week losing streak. For the longest winning streak we start with 1 week, because only 23 channels made a profit this week with their winner picks. Out of those 23 channels, 12 channels are on a 2-week winning streak. The following 7 channels have a 3-week winning streak. And out of those 7 channels we have 5 channels that are on a 4-week winning streak. And on a 5-week winning streak we have Drywall, MMA Ethic and Sports Betting Hub. But there's only one channel out of those 3 that is on a 6-week winning streak, which is Sports Betting Hub. And he's been doing really well week after week, because he's also on a 7-week winning streak and even an 8-week winning streak. That was it for the results video for UFC Vancouver. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all back in the overview video for UFC 321 Aspinall vs Gain.